minute. You know, and you wouldn't know. Only thing you would hear was the gunshot.
I tried to leave everybody alone and just do my own thing. Everybody just wanted to hurt me. Until one day I just decided, well, I've had enough of this picking. And I went upstairs and I took a bar, which the clothes used to hang on in the closet. And I went back downstairs and there were like 6 young men. Still figuring they were gonna mess with my head, and we went to war. To their surprise, I was no longer taking the beating. I was giving it. And that's when I learned that it was better to give than to receive.
Andy, you ready? Okay. Unwanted again. Mark.
I hold my tongue and everything gets better. I hold my tongue. I hold my tongue and everything gets better. Hold my tongue. And I might pay the price, being dead my whole life. And watch me devour my ego. Is that all you want from me? So what would it take to break away and motivate some sense of change? Maybe I might face the ache fades away. I'm feeling I want it every single day. I want it. Here we go again. I want it every single day. I want it. Here we go again. I wanna
Welcome to the shit show. Welcome. I need to watch this.
So the skateboard will be released in less than a month, and Ubisoft has just revealed the new editions you'll be able to buy when it comes out. Only includes the base game, and right now on PlayStation it costs $40 without a discount, but it often has good discounts, so I would wait if you wanna buy this one. Then we have the Skate Edition, which will include the base game and the skateboard DLC. This one will cost $60, and with the skateboard DLC you'll get the new skate career, new events and skate related sponsors. I'm guessing that if you already have the game, you'll be able to buy the skate DLC for $20. Then we have the 360 edition, which will cost $80 and will come with the base game and the Skate Plus pack. You will be able to buy the Skate Plus pack separately when it comes out. And alright, so that's everything I wanted to say. Like and subscribe if you can, it really helps a lot. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Dude, I can't wait to play this. I mean, it's so unrealistic, but it still looks so cool. Still down for it, you know?
Halloween night 2022. 5 friends go to Itaewon, only 2 come home. What should have been a night of celebration instead has a horrifying end. In a tragedy where the death toll rose by the hour, so did the unanswered questions. What led to one of South Korea's worst disasters? Here's what we know so far. It's 5 p.m. on October 31st, 2022. Thousands of predominantly young people have converged in Itaewon, in the center of the South Korean capital of Seoul. It's the most popular party district and a tourist hotspot with many narrow streets and alleys filled with bars and restaurants. The neighborhood is served by the Itaewon Metro station, and videos on social media show streams of people arriving to celebrate Halloween in the early evening. As the crowds grow rapidly, the space becomes impossible to move. Emergency calls start coming in, and the chaos builds by the minute. Ultimately, a crowd crush leaves an estimated 156 people dead, and, initially, thousands unaccounted for. Within hours, it's a global headline. While the death toll climbed, it begged the question, could the Seoul crowd crush have been prevented, or at least eased? And who is to blame? Hours before the disaster, partygoers could tell something was wrong. There were reportedly more than 100,000 people in the area, packed into the district's narrow sloping streets and alleyways. One of the survivors, Nuyil Ahmed, who had been to Halloween parties in Itaewon before, said things were very different this year. With the bursting crowd by 5 p.m., he wondered what would happen as the night progressed. He wasn't alone in the worry. Around this time, social media started buzzing with people saying that the district streets were so crowded they felt unsafe. One video is especially hard to forget. A lone police officer desperately trying to control the crowd. As a known high-traffic area, a decent police presence was expected. Instead, according to an interview with one of the policemen who was working in the Itaewon police box, there was only 22 officers on duty.
Wow.
Authorities would claim there were 137. Either
Liars.
way, this would become a critical aspect as the events unfolded. An hour and a half later,
bunch of
just
liars.
after 6:30 p.m., police were called to help, a concerned attendee preempting the tragedy. But even though the operator told the first caller they would send someone to go out and check it out,
They
no
did.
significant reinforcements were sent for hours. Until that point, the handful of officers there were unaware of the disaster unfolding nearby. There were at least 10 more emergency calls from the area in the next 3.5 hours. Again, the callers were reassured that police would be sent to the scene. In reality, the police allegedly did not dispatch anyone in response to calls made from 9 p.m. onwards, the hour leading up to the crush. By 10:10, the final call predicts the disaster that would unfold minutes later. On the other end, the caller said, "It feels like people can get crushed here." When a number of people on the sloping pathway fell over, crowds pressing from both ends of the alley made it impossible to get out.
Wow.
Social media footage showed some desperately trying to climb up the sides of the buildings to escape. By 10:25, fire authorities said they received reports that 10 people were pushed down under the crowd and were experiencing breathing difficulties. 3 minutes later, the first 4 ambulances were dispatched, followed by 6
153,
more.
dude.
They would take longer than
Like,
expected
how?
to arrive, as the clogged streets made it difficult to reach the area.
Your lack
The worse
of
the situation
awareness,
grew, the more
empathy,
panic increased.
absolutely
By 11 p.m.,
insane,
30 more
dude.
ambulances
You
were
kidding me?
deployed, and more than 100 national disaster medical assistance teams, with all Halloween events later being called off by authorities. While response teams struggled to reach the victims, dozens of people attempted CPR in the street, one of whom was a woman, certified in performing CPR, who said the scene was beyond any of the training she had received. She told a news outlet their faces had turned blue, their eyes were rolled back, and mouths wide open. Some of them were desperately gasping for air. Paramedics tried their best for those who looked like they stood a chance. Many others were laid along the sides of the alley, just waiting to be moved. What stunned her most was that a doctor, who witnessed devastation daily, was frozen in shock. At a nearby club, desperate partygoers grabbed at a bouncer's arms and legs, begging him to help them, but there was nothing he could do. The situation
Oh,
was
shit.
already too dire, the space too packed. Meanwhile, other staff members in surrounding clubs tried to carry the injured in to have enough space to perform CPR. Those in the clubs joined the attempts to pull bodies out and help. Countless witness stories spoke of the sounds of screams coming from the crowds, while the music drowned out the disaster unfolding
Oh my
just
God.
steps away. Through tears, a partygoer recalled how he desperately tried to help those who had fallen, but there were already 5 or 6 layers of people stacked on top of each other. Many had already lost consciousness.
5 or
Some remembered the
6
heartbreaking
layers
moment
of
while victims' phones were
people.
going off
It's
nonstop. Their loved
people.
ones defeatedly trying to confirm they were okay.
It's fucking crazy.
At the same
man.
time, emergency alerts came through thick and fast. Anyone near the accident scene near Hamilton Hotel in Itaewon, Yongsan-gu, please return home as soon as possible. Around 1 a.m., after 2.5 hours of trying to retrieve the bodies, authorities released the first death toll of 59 killed. They frantically tried to transfer injured people to 18 nearby hospitals and bodies to multiple mortuaries as well as a sports stadium to be identified. During those early hours, the city government began receiving a flood of missing person reports. It would take days to identify the victims. For hours, dead bodies lay covered with blue sheets. Within hours of the tragedy unfolding, South Korea's president Yoon Suk-yeol had held an emergency meeting and announced an investigation into the cause of the crush. The next morning, he implemented a period of national mourning. Meanwhile, the police came under fire for the slow response after the numerous calls
hope so.
preempting it. It was first reported that the actual crowd crush was triggered by people swarming to a bar to see a celebrity, but none of that has been proven as of yet. It was also initially reported as a stampede, But this was soon changed. Although they are similar, a stampede implies that people had a place to run to, which was not the case in Itaewon. The consensus now is that the three-way alleyway was too small, and the loud music from nearby clubs silenced the calls for help. It is also a popular through route from the metro because of the shortcut nature of it. Ideally, crowd controller barriers should have been placed beforehand. However, since there was no event organizer, there wasn't any regulated planning. Witnesses said calls from within the crowd to push led to a huge shove. They weren't walking anymore. They were being carried in a river of people and could not stop if they tried. Due to the angle of the alleyway, those being pushed from behind started falling, which created a human choke point. When people start to move in very high-density crowds, each individual physically doesn't have enough space around them to behave normally or make rational decisions. Rather, the entire crowd starts moving like a fluid, forced forward by the pressure of the people behind. The inability to facilitate movement can cause two issues: the risk of hitting a choke point and the risk of someone falling over. In Itaewon, the combination of both happened. As with the laws of fluid dynamics, the crowd can experience shock waves that ripple up and back through the mass of people when a push comes from any given direction. The people at the very front of the crowd, who are not at dangerous densities, will make it through the choke point, but the high-density crowd inevitably follows, carried by force. In this case, the choke point was too narrow for the entire crowd to fit through. Subsequently, it became plugged up, and those at the front were further squashed by the crowd behind. The victims didn't die from being crushed, but rather from compressive asphyxiation, the mechanical limiting of the lung expansion by compressing the torso that results in loss of breath. Simply put, air was cut off from the body due to outside pressure. In Itaewon, the fallen were suffocated by the weight of the bodies being stacked on top of them, while others died standing up. As the shock waves rippled through the crowd, the force was enough to carry people out of their shoes. The magnitude was captured in viral images of hundreds of pairs of shoes at the Wanhiro Sports Center, which was turned into a huge lost and found.
Wow.
There were clear signs pointing to a crisis in Itaewon even before the deadly crush took place, starting with the 4-hour police response time. And it took another hour to deploy additional officers. But by then, the death toll was already high. With the investigation in the early stages,
holy fuck! So it's ACAB in all countries, huh? ACAB in all fucking countries. ACAB means landlords too. Just saying. Just saying. I don't make the rules. This is how it goes.
Theory are all we have to go on, and the investigation may never answer the key question: why was there such a minimal police presence? The question is fundamental when considering the norm in South Korea. For example, when the K-pop group BTS staged a show that drew a crowd of 55,000, only half the size of that Halloween night, the police were ready. They assigned 1,300 officers to keep people safe. The same can be said for political protests. However modest in size, the country's police force are famous for making careful plans to ensure crowds do not get out of control. On Halloween night, about 6,000 officers were assigned to an anti-government protest downtown, as well as to protecting President Yoon, who moved his office to an area not far from Itaewon earlier in the year. So why were only 137 officers assigned to Itaewon on a known celebratory night? Authorities earlier said they deployed more officers for this year's Halloween festivities, the first without the pandemic restrictions, than they did for pre-COVID parties. It was also pointed out that because there was no main organizer for the party, no special requests were made to the police for crowd control and safety management. The blame was also placed on 2 political demonstrations happening that night, but those were over well before the crowd crush. Again, the story changed when authorities said they were unaware of a large gathering.
ACAB.
In contrast, an officer working at the celebration said Itaewon police knew beforehand that people would flock there for Halloween. So they asked the Seoul government for reinforcements to dispatch in anticipation of it, but they were denied, and he doesn't know why. On the night itself, communication between the authorities and those on the ground was inadequate. Police in Yongsan were not given proper orders by their higher-ups when the emergency calls came through, and the police head only received his first report about the Itaewon disaster 1 hour and 21 minutes after the accident. There are also suspicions that, due to increased strain on the police station due to having to provide security for the president, police officers were suffering from fatigue. Response aside, another question to consider is,
Hey, Cap.
was the Itaewon tragedy an urban planning issue? In recent years, Itaewon has grown into a trendy spot with constant development. Some believe this was one of the contributing factors to the Halloween crowd crush. For starters, on the corner of the narrow alleyway is the Hamilton Hotel, which had built unpermitted structures, including a temporary metal wall, a booth, and a terrace. These structures narrowed the lane even further in the choke point. The hotel allegedly ignored orders by the local district office to remove them. Soon, other businesses in the vicinity followed suit in constructing illegal terraces that jutted out into the street, making the walkway even narrower than it should have been. This theory doesn't leave authorities in the clear, though. With knowledge of the event and the illegal structures, they could have created barrier checkpoints, made a one-way foot traffic system, and used megaphones to direct crowds. And of course, if there had been earlier enforcement against these illegal additions, the alleyway would have been bigger to begin with. On top of that, if the magnitude of the crowd was missed in the police planning stages, CCTV cameras would have shown the growing crowds from early on. By the 8th of November 2022, 55 offices were raided, including the fire station, the Seoul Metro Headquarters, the National Police Agency, and the Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency. The raid of the fire station was related to allegations that the chief sat on a police request to jointly respond to the Halloween crowds before the crowd collapse occurred. The Metro headquarters was because the subway operator did not take precautionary measures to help disperse crowds by making decisions like ordering trains not to stop at the Itaewon subway station. Additionally, multiple charges of professional negligence resulting in death have been laid. President Yoon said the incident revealed the importance of crowd management and a lack of research on the subject. Since the devastating Halloween incident, makeshift memorials for the 156 victims, mostly young women, have been set up around Itaewon. The 26 foreign victims' families have had their bodies flown home, and the investigation is in full swing. One can only hope that the future planned development in the area will prevent another tragedy like this.
Absolutely.
Watch this episode next. If you found this video interesting, please add a like and leave a comment if you want to support the channel.
Insane. Scary, bro. Whoa.
It's a routine trip carrying holiday makers to visit family when tragedy strikes the Doña Paz. Petrified passengers risk their lives as they take the leap from the floating ball of flames. For some, it's a fatal decision either way. And it's not the first time the shipping company has faced an avoidable accident, nor will it be the last. As the Doña Paz sets off on the 20th of December 1987, everyone expects it to arrive at its destination. The Filipino-registered passenger ferry takes the journey from Tacloban to Manila twice a week. Though the sinking of the Doña Paz is believed to be the largest maritime disaster in times of peace, it is probably one of the least known tragedies to date. En route, the inter-island passenger ferry collided with a Filipino-owned oil tanker, the MT Vector, at Dumali Point, near the island of Marinduque. The oil tanker is on its way from Bataan to Masbate, carrying 1,041 tons of gasoline and petroleum products for Caltex Philippines. Sadly, neither the passenger ferry nor the oil tanker would ever reach their destination, and only 24 passengers from the ferry and 2 crew members from the oil tanker would live to tell the story of what happened that fateful evening. Since none of the Doña Paz crew survived, and the 2 crew members from the Vector were reportedly asleep at the time of the collision, only the accounts of the survivors can help us piece together what caused the tragedy. It is estimated that up to 16 million islanders travel between some 7,000 islands every year in the Philippines, making ferry travel the most economical mode for many locals. According to subsequent reports, overcrowding on passenger ferries is notorious in the country, but even more so on this occasion. Just 5 days before Christmas. On Sunday, 20 December, the Doña Paz was making its way to Manila, with many excited islanders hoping to meet up with family for the festive season. Witness accounts claim that the vessel, registered to carry just over 1,500 passengers, was reportedly leaning significantly more to one side when it left the port, indicating that it was heavily loaded. At 6:30 a.m., Doña Paz left the island of Leyte, setting sail for the overnight trip to Manila. According to the ship's initial manifest, the vessel carried 1,493 passengers and 59 crew members. In contrast, survivors say the ferry...
I want a game. Fuck watching that right now. I want a game. I want to smoke weed and play video games for once. Bam, bam, that was item server connection. I wish I could get my shit from Xbox on here. What the fuck?
Welcome to the training program. Pay attention. It might help save your life. Ah, now let's quickly brief you on your melee weapons. Before you start, take a look at the basics of your equipment.
Oh, just glad it's not
Trying to get these controls right.
my blood. Right, here comes Cash on legs.
Ah, now you are starting to look like you could be good at this. Bravo.
He shoots, he kills! Whoa, it got me! Ugh. Here they come, party time. Just picking them off. You know me now, don't you? I'm grabbed! Look, the money sacks are trying the door. Door's getting chewed to pieces. Down they... And that's just the first course.
Okay.
So you have finished off a wave of them. You have money. See how you can use it.
See how you can use it. If I have money, I'm saving it, bitch.
It's like an abattoir in here.
This is where you will find me during real missions. Always ready with new equipment, if you have earned enough. Before you start again, pay attention. This advice is actually free.
Never been a fan of blood.
Oh shit, it scared
You
me.
know me now, don't you? Shit on a stick, it's got me! We've got a siren! Damn
I'm
it,
dead.
my ears! Count him!
Lucky for you, this is just a training session, no? Listen up.
Damn it, my ears! Well, I'm bloody dead! Damn it, Frosty, move! And that's just the first course. Ah,
Dude, what the fuck? I can't move. Yeah, but I can't move.
ah. Happiness is...
Yo, bro. Fuck off. Why can't I move?
Come on! Now, sort of!
Oh my god, dude, that was insanely dumb.
Merveilleux. You have completed the training scenario. Now, make yourself useful.
That's nice.
Oh my god, dude, I can't believe I got pinned like that. You don't even give me anything for finishing that? Fuck you then. Alright, chat, fuck it. Oh, we in one already, baby. Let's go. Had to play this since we're getting ready for Killing Floor 3, you know? We had to do it.
Ah, reminds me of that bar at Amsterdam.
Hurry up. Zeds are getting closer. Know what Zeds love? Keep the area secure.
I don't even have a gun, bro. I didn't have a gun.
Look alive, Dead's paying us a visit. And that's just the first course.
You're sick, bro? Oh.
Whoa, it
Ah!
got me!
Look at this fucking fat fuck.
Now, sort of.
Other than that, how are you? Oh, dude, I'm dead.
I'm burning
They
up!
put me in a game with no gun.
Cow just closed. Now, clean it off! Didn't like that, did you?
Die.
on the money. We've got a flash pound.
Come on. I just want to get over this. So I get a gun. Dude, leave me alone. Go after the guy with the gun, bro.
Damn it, my ears! I'm bloody dead! Watch it, siren! Crap, it's gone postal! Get back! Can't hear anything! I'm bloody dead! Look at you, Mr. Grumpy! Ooh, careful, flash plant!
Jesus.
The bastard's almost history! It stings! Didn't like that, did you?
Trust. Your work was flawless. All that money won't help if you don't spend it.
How's everyone for ammo?
If I were you, I'd stock up on grenades.
Ready to rip someone a new one?
Last chance. I have to power down the pod. Break time's over. Get back to work.
All right, at least I got a
All
gun
set,
this time.
Look at this. We're all still alive. You can thank me later. Whoa! You know me now, don't you? Ammo's getting low! Watch it, reloading! Sword off! Direct hit! Hold it off! Here they come, party time! You know me now, don't you? Damn it, Frosty, move! Don't mind if I do. Goody Snoop, cheers. I'm blind! That sod off!
Dead, no. Wait, this ain't OnlyFans?
Just picking them off.
Not yet, bro. Leave me alone, you ugly fuck.
Right, here comes cash on legs. Reloading. Not dead yet. I'll sort that.
Ah!
Burning up! He shoots, he kills! Ready to rip someone a new one. That sort of. It stings! That's nice. Just picking them off. Pussy got your attention, eh? Now clean it off!
Fuck off!
Don't mind if I do. The Zed's nearly dead! And that's just the first course. It stings! Ah. Didn't like that, did you? Load your my eyes! Goody Snoop, cheers! Now sod off! I'm burning up! Got any more? I can do this.
Got him, dude. What the fuck? What happened to the other dude that was helping?
That did the trick. Ha!
Jesus. I don't know. This game's kind of cool, but it doesn't hit the same like it used to. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's just that's my fault. Who knows? Who fucking knows, you know? And at the end of the day, who cares? Hey, yeah, why you put cheese on my cheeseburger? It's just for cheeseburger, not for a hamburger, bro. Gotta ask for a hamburger. What's this? Call of the Wild. Oh, it's a fishing game. I don't want to play a fucking fishing game. What's this? Oh. Was it like a woman at McDonald's? Is that what it is? City car parking simulator for 54 cents, dude. Hell yeah, brother. What's this?
Welcome to Cyber Titans, a multiplayer strategy game with crazy mechanics, where you lead your team against the world. Recruit your Titans, position them on the field, and send them onto the battleground. Choose the smartest way to manage your economy during...
Oh. Hate those. Blasphemous 2. Oh yeah, we're doing an Alan Wake stream when it's released, guys. It's gonna be fucking sick. It's gonna be fucking sick. Yeah, how big is it? $90 gigs? Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. I'm not keeping you. Hell no, bro. 90 gigs. $90. That's just fucking wild, dude. Oh, I guess we'll just watch some YouTube for the night since I can't fucking find anything on play right now. Since I can't find anything to play. What is going on with this huge drama?
Doing, right? Just to let you have to be certain that you're taking, which, you know.
And I just saw, thank you very much to the, thank you so much, Redacted. Love you, Sensitive. Thanks for the tea. I'm starting a podcast. Would you come shoot the shit with me despite me having no following yet? I promise it'll be, yeah, I'm down. I'm always down to go on anyone's podcast, by the way. So yeah, I'm down. And to anyone who's new, because we have like 700 people, we're with Jaden, we're with Femios, they're creeps, and yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know that's what's going on. We're talking to them, and it's getting pretty crazy. We're gonna get into everything in a bit, but thank you for the $10. I really do appreciate it.
What the fuck?
Narwhals are mysterious creatures that live in the Arctic and subarctic regions, and they prefer to stay in deep waters. Narwhals are extremely elusive and therefore difficult to study. Not only do they hide very deep, they can also quickly escape from motorboats and helicopters. No wonder narwhals are considered possibly the worst study animal in the world. And the less studied the animals are, the more mysteries surround them. Though we should be grateful to the Inuit, who've had narwhals on their menu for millennia. Only thanks to them have scientists been able to uncover a little more information. So what exactly are we talking about? Narwhals pierce orcas with their tusks. This happens very rarely because narwhals are actually very shy animals which prefer to swim away from the conflict and hide deep or in shallow waters where orcas can't get them. But if there isn't any opportunity to do that, or if the narwhal is provoked, it'll defend itself by any available means. And there aren't many of them. The tusks of narwhals are quite a mystery. For a long time, scientists had no clue why narwhals need them in the first place. Some researchers suggest that narwhals can use their tusks to break through the sea ice. Others believe that narwhals evolved tusks as a defense against predators. But if narwhals barely use their tusks as spears, does such an evolutionary adaptation make any sense? Actually, the narwhal tusk is one of the most unique structures in nature because it's not curved like the horns or tusks of other animals. Instead, it sort of forms in a spiral, which makes the tusk not only strong but also flexible. Yes, this thing can really flex at least 1 foot in any direction without breaking. This unusual feature allows the narwhal to use its tusk when moving through icy water. It can penetrate small cracks and crevices before it gets trapped under a thick layer of ice. Still, I doubt that narwhals can fence using their tusks. After all, they're not swordfish, which can be described as one of the most impressive and powerful fish living in the ocean. The maximum recorded length of a swordfish is 15 feet with a weight of 1,433 pounds. Yes, this is a huge fish that also has few natural predators. Orcas and mako sharks are the creatures who dare hunt swordfish, but even when faced with such opponents, swordfish don't give up without a fight. Researchers constantly find dead or dying mako sharks with broken swords stuck in their bodies. Swordfish are always ready to fight for their lives. But is it always self-defense? A thresher shark was once found off the coast of Libya in April 2020 with a large piece of sword stuck in its belly. And when I say big, I mean the piece was nearly 12 inches long.
Jeez.
No one performed an autopsy on the shark, but it's possible that the sword could have damaged its internal organs as well. It's worth noting that thresher sharks pose no threat to swordfish. Then why would they attack them? Did the thresher shark provoke the attack? Was the swordfish defending its territory or prey? Or maybe it just mistook this shark for some other more dangerous species and attacked first. By the way, swordfish are quite capable of surviving an attack like this. For example, some billfish, close relatives of swordfish, have been seen with damaged swords but were generally in good physical shape. Whether swordfish are strong enough to fight off orcas is a different question. Orcas are probably the most cunning and organized predators on the planet. Extremely nimble, they hunt in groups and attack their prey with great speed. Moreover, orcas can adapt their behavior strategy depending on the prey. However, I've already mentioned this many times in previous videos. Orcas are quite capable of hunting sperm whales, although sperm whales aren't exactly easy defenseless prey. Adult males grow up to 52 feet long and weigh about 50 tons.
Jeez.
This sounds like a lot of food for orcas, but this food will fight back. To survive an attack by predators, and don't forget that orcas hunt in groups, sperm whales draw in a protective formation around calves that are too young to fend off such formidable predators on their own. To further confuse their attackers, adult sperm whales can make loud noises, and don't forget about their powerful tails, which in fact serve as a decent weapon. The sperm whale's huge tail poses a danger to any predators. A sperm whale tail crashing down on an orca would be a potentially life-threatening experience.
Ooh.
But this is not a problem only orcas face. Divers who dive with whales are also wary of sperm whales. Their tails believed to be so powerful and strong that a single blow can easily decapitate a person. I don't want to think where and how we got this knowledge.
A single blow of a sperm whale's tail can decapitate you. That is fucking crazy, man. What the fuck?
However, in some cases, if all else fails, one or more adult males can fight back against orcas by ramming them. And something tells me that this is very risky, because such a move leaves the calves unprotected. But you know what's particularly interesting? Even an apex predator like an orca can sometimes deliberately avoid its potential prey. But not because the predator isn't hungry. Not long ago, researchers in Iceland observed a group of orcas swimming and communicating with each other without a care in the world. Suddenly, the animals went silent. The sudden change in behavior was caused by the pilot whales which showed up nearby. A little later, orcas swam away as quickly as possible to avoid a possible conflict. You have to admit this is not the behavior you'd expect from orcas. It's unlikely that these species are competing for prey. Orcas living in Iceland eat herring, and pilot whales eat squid. So they wouldn't need to compete for food sources. So how come they're fighting? And moreover, why do pilot whales target orcas? That is, many animals attack predators to rob them of the element of surprise, but Icelandic orcas don't eat pilot whales. Apparently, the pilot whales just aren't aware of that, so they attack first just in case. Pilot whales consider orcas a threat and react accordingly, leading to clashes between species. Steve's even found several reports of pilot whales attacking orcas from behind.
Wild.
This only supports the theory that pilot whales stay on guard and attack even when no one is going to threaten them. By the way, orcas aren't the only ones who are wary of pilot whales. Sperm whales are not fond of them either. While there's no evidence that pilot whales pose an actual threat to sperm whales, maybe they do have a reason to be scared. In August 2016, a group of about 40 pilot whales aggressively attacked a young, weakened humpback whale. The poor animal sought shelter under the hull of a boat. Of course, there's also evidence of perfectly normal, peaceful interactions between the two species, but this incident outlined the potential danger posed by these enigmatic creatures. Why enigmatic, you may ask? Well, how much do you actually know about them? For some reason, people don't talk as much about pilot whales as they do about orcas. Meanwhile, pilot whales are some of the fastest predators in the world, capable of traveling at 20 miles per hour. There's a reason they're called cheetahs of the deep sea. Well, actual cheetahs are much faster, but they can't keep it up for a long time and have to rest after their sprints. Pilot whales don't have this problem. Groups of pilot whales are larger than those of orcas, and sometimes can even reach 100 or more individuals. With such numbers, it's hardly surprising that they dare challenge even orcas. And while orcas usually leave the area if they hear pilot whales around, pilot whales, on the contrary, aren't afraid of orcas' calls. A 2012 study found that pilot whales are indeed not scared of orca calls, rather, they're attracted to them. Perhaps this is what provokes pilot whales to come and attack. Well, how could they just let those noisy orcas be? And considering all these
I gotta
facts,
take a piss.
should
I'll
we
be right back.
expect that in 10 to 20 years the balance of power will shift and orcas will be dethroned and pilot whales will end up at the top of the food chain? They're smart, fast, numerous. It's possible. We'll have to talk about this again in the future. The ocean, as you've already realized, is a dangerous, unpredictable place where anything can happen. Take, for example, a great white shark, a well-known fearsome predator that can cause phobias. But even this bloodthirsty monster sometimes overestimates itself and bites more than it can chew. This is what happened to the shark, which decided to chomp down on a sea turtle, but ended up simply choking to death. This story was first told on the radio on April 19, 2021, when a great white shark was reported swimming around with a large sea turtle in its mouth. However, the next day, the shark was found dead. It got entangled in the net, failing to get rid of the turtle in its mouth. The reason for the shark's death soon became obvious. Once the prey gets stuck in its throat, there's almost zero chance for the shark to survive. The thing is, great white sharks are physically unable to spit in order to get rid of an object stuck in their mouths. Evolution has not given them hands either. Also, great white sharks have to swim all the time just to breathe. Their jaws have to be open to allow the oxygen-rich seawater to flow through their gills. This means that any foreign object, such as that sea turtle, becomes lethal for the shark. Unable to get it out, sharks slowly choke to death. And yes, the turtle from this story also died. This is not a tragic coincidence. Sea turtles are actually well aware that a shark attack could be lethal for them. Therefore, when a great white shark is close by, their turtles turn their backs to the shark and swim sort of sideways. It's very difficult for the shark to grab its prey while it's in this position. This sideways turning trick is usually enough to deter great white sharks from eating sea turtles. The only successful strategy for the predator is to eat the turtle when it's distracted and doesn't see the shark for some reason. But even then, as you've already realized, the shark could end up hungry or even dead. It's not only turtles that can get stuck in a shark's throat and kill a predator. A few years ago on the coast of the Maldives, an incredible incident happened. A lemon shark was found with a large porcupine fish in its mouth. Well, you know what these fish do, right? When they sense danger, they quickly fill their stomachs with water, inflating their bodies several times their original size. Naturally, when you're a shark which accidentally swallows a porcupine fish, you're in trouble. And even the special skill of lemon sharks is no help here. Although this species, unlike great white sharks, is capable of vomiting out undigested objects or excess food that can't be swallowed. Their stomach essentially gets expelled from the mouth and then goes back inside again. Except that this trick didn't work on a porcupine fish. When the shark tried to spit out the fish, the backward-pointing barbs dug in deeper, making the prey even more lodged inside the shark. The outcome is sad and quite predictable. The body of the porcupine fish blocked the airflow through the gill chamber, and the shark simply suffocated. Well, let's leave the sea creatures alone and head out on land, because there are plenty of unexpected interactions between predators and prey there too. In March 2014, an incredible encounter between a young golden eagle and a porcupine was captured by a motion-sensing camera in a forest near Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. When the camera snapped the bird again a little more than a week later, it turned out that the golden eagle had 4 quills sticking out of its eyes and mouth. This seemingly strange encounter is not as unusual as it may seem. Scientists know that golden eagles and porcupines interact more often than previously thought. Although porcupines are well known for their defensive skills, golden eagles are versatile predators that prey on every creature.
I thought this whole thing was about orcas. I want to watch that.
Nothing under the sea was safe during the Devonian period with...
Great white sharks are feared and revered as the deadliest, most ferocious creatures that lurk in our oceans. But despite being at the top of the aquatic food chain, it turns out even they've got something to fear. something that's very, very scary indeed. You see, back in 2003, Australian scientists studying the toothy terrors attached a tracker to a huge 9-foot-long great white to see what it got up to. However, just 4 months later, the tracker washed up on a beach without the shark. Unbelievably, something had eaten the beast. But what could possibly be so powerful it chowed down on one of the most terrifying creatures in the world and left nothing behind? Well, from a lost megalodon to a giant squid, get ready for a deep dive into this spooky mystery as we try to find out exactly what...
Hour, bro. I ain't doing it. Ooh.
Cruise ships are safe. They're safer than planes, which is safer than trains, which is safer than cars. But, as with about everything, things can go awfully wrong. And anything from bad weather, to fire, to real pirates and pure captain stupidity can turn the vacation of a lifetime into a nightmare from hell. So today we're looking at the 10 most terrifying cruise ship disasters, including some quite unexpected events. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing for more weekly traveling content, and without further ado, let's get straight into it. Waves and storms. One especially bad incident was the Viking Sky evacuation in 2019.
Oh.
The luxury cruise ship carrying about 900 passengers was sailing through a strong storm in Norway when a 25-meter wave hit the vessel. This caused an oil pump to malfunction, resulting in the automatic shutdown of all engines. Now, this is bad, as without stabilization, the rough seas started strongly shaking the ship from side to side, and everything that isn't secure to the ground moved with it, leading to some quite scary experiences. Additionally, the ship was out of control and was quickly approaching land. Now, the captain did release both anchors, which prevented the ship from stranding, but it did make onboard shaking even worse. This forced the captain to call for help and ordered the immediate evacuation of the vessel.
I would not sit near those fucking windows. Look at those people right there. Look at those people right here. Look how close they are to those windows. Hell no, dude. I'm gone. I'm in the middle.
Lifeboat station. Lifeboat.
Now here's the thing. Launching lifeboats was practically impossible, as you just don't want to have small lifeboats sailing in such rough weather. So here's what Norwegian rescue teams decided on instead. They sent 6 helicopters to evacuate passengers one by literally lifting them off the ship. Take a look.
No fucking way, dude. Oh, I'd be losing it. I'd be losing it. That's someone's grandma.
Within the next few hours,
crazy,
over half the
dude.
passengers were evacuated in a total of 30 helicopter flights. But as winds and waves calmed down, the ship's engines started working again. The vessel was safely towed into port, and miraculously, everyone managed to get off the ship safely and uninjured. Apart from large storms, another thing that can ruin your cruising vacation is a pirate attack. No, not these kinds of pirates, but rather these, Somalian hijackers. In November 2005, the Seabourn Spirit, a small luxury cruise liner with 115 passengers, was traveling off the coast of Somalia when the ship was attacked and fired at
why
by
would you
2
travel
pirate
off the
speedboats
coast of Somalia?
equipped with machine guns
Do you know?
and rocket-propelled grenades.
Schießen. Ja.
Na, was haben Sie davon? Bitte, wie können die zwei Mann als so ein Schiffstück?
Ja, sie versuchen es. Ja, der Raketen auch.
Ladies and gentlemen, all ships stay inside, stay inside, stay inside. We are trying to run away from them now. Stay inside, everybody. This is a real alarm. Please stay inside.
Ja, der Raketen.
Huh?
They shot 2 RPG rockets which then hit the stern of the ship, but thankfully no passengers were injured and crew was able to repel the pirates.
They shot
with a specialized
RPGs
sonic
at a
device.
ship. What? What?
The security officers on board were then even honored for the bravery by Queen Elizabeth herself. Next up, we have fire. Now, it might be counterintuitive to think of fire as a big danger on board, given that cruise ships are surrounded by water. But it turns out actually extinguishing an onboard fire is quite difficult. Onboard fires come in a variety of different ways. You have fires caused by passengers due to smoking in places where they're not supposed to. You have kitchen fires, and then you have engine fires.
Now it's time to go.
To protect against
Time's
all
up.
of those, all modern cruise ships are now equipped with sprinklers and many fire prevention measures. But one thing that can still happen is an engine outage due to an engine fire on especially older ships. Although scary looking, most of these events are handled quickly and the ship is able to continue its planned route. But in some cases, it takes a bit longer. This is exactly what happened to the Carnival
poop
Triumph,
cruise.
a ship that was stuck at sea for 5 days without running toilets and with limited power.
Poop cruise.
Now, we already did a whole video on this story linked down below, so if you're interested, check it out. Next up, we have icebergs. Now, there's one pretty famous example of a ship sinking after striking an iceberg, but we're not talking about that one today. Instead, we're talking about the MV Explorer, a large polar expedition ship. In 2007, it was on its way to Antarctica on a 2-week cruise when it unexpectedly struck some pretty thick ice. This immediately caused a leak, and as the ship was starting to fill up with water, it started to list to the side. The captain then decided to launch all lifeboats and abandon the ship. All passengers and crew were safely evacuated and
actually,
waited
there are
about
actual
4 hours
videos.
until rescue ships could come pick them up.
Oh.
While the ship ultimately sank, thankfully no one was injured and everyone made it back home safe and well.
That's crazy.
Illnesses. Densely populated areas such
Imagine.
as schools, college campuses, hotels,
That's so scary.
and well, cruise ships have a higher likelihood of spreading illnesses. In the past, we would have probably discussed the norovirus, a gastrointestinal illness that caused a couple of cruises to be cancelled. But lately, and you've all heard about it, a new virus has made the news. And while we've grown accustomed to it in the last few years, back in February 2020, it was just starting to spread across the globe. The Diamond Princess cruise ship was the first vessel to report a large cluster of infections, and passengers had to quarantine in Yokohama, Japan for over 2 weeks. Now remember, these were some of the first cases worldwide, so both the cruise line and the Japanese government didn't really know what to do. This led to over 700 passengers getting infected with the virus, and a pretty messy debarkation process where passengers were cramped onto Air Force planes before having to quarantine for another 2 weeks. Lastly, another thing that can ruin your cruising vacation is captain stupidity, also known as human error. Now, a lot has to go wrong for captain stupidity to ruin your vacation. That's because there are usually more than half a dozen people on the bridge ensuring the ship sails safely. Additionally, with constant advancements in technology, there is really no need for anything to go wrong. But there's one specific example where everything did indeed go wrong. We're of course talking about the Costa Concordia. On January 13th, 2012, the ship left Civitavecchia, Italy on a 1-week cruise. A couple hours into the voyage, the ship was doing a sail past salute by the island of Giglio. That is, the ship got within 250 meters or 270 yards of the island in an unscheduled change of route. That's because the captain wanted to impress his romantic partner that was also on the bridge at the time. Well, you all know what happened next. The ship struck an underground rock and immediately began taking in water. To make matters worse, the captain yells out contradictory directions to officers. Additionally, when passengers begin to line up at the
Can you imagine? Can you imagine sinking a fucking cruise ship because you wanted to go close to an island to impress a fucking woman because you want pussy? Holy fuck, dude, you're fired, dog. You're fired.
lifeboats by themselves,
That's all I gotta say.
he doesn't seem to care and delays the lifeboat launching for another 15 minutes, all while the ship continues to list. With a bit of pushing from
Yeah,
the
he
first
got in trouble. There's
officer,
no way he didn't
the
get in trouble.
captain finally decides to launch lifeboats and abandon the ship.
We're abandoning ship. The captain
While
can't.
most passengers are able to quickly board lifeboats and escape to land, some
Wow.
get stuck on board. But guess who's not there? The captain. He was one of the first to leave the vessel and claims to have fallen in a lifeboat. But the Italian Coast Guard, which is now in charge of the rescue mission, was not very pleased with Captain Schettino's actions.
Oh shit. Man, he's cooking, dude.
Comandante, per cortesia. Che sta facendo, comandante? Sto qua per coordinare i soccorsi. Che sta coordinando lì? Vada a bordo, mi coordini i soccorsi da bordo. Lei si rifiuta? No, non mi sto rifiutando. Lei si sta rifiutando di andare a bordo, comandante? No, e mi dica qual è il motivo per cui non ci va.
Wow.
Lei vada a bordo, è un ordine. Ma si rende conto che è buio e che qua non vediamo nulla? E che vuole tornare a casa, Schettino? È buio, vuole tornare a casa? Salga sulla prua della nave tramite la biscacina e mi dica ora.
Captain Schettino never went back on board. A total of 34 people ended up losing their lives,
It's his
making
fault.
it by far the worst cruise ship accident of this century. And no event in recent history even comes close to this one.
It's the
But
captain's
although
fault.
all of these stories are truly horrifying, they're not unique to cruising. We have similar stories with planes, with trains and cars, but there are two things which really stood out while researching the worst cruise ship disasters. Firstly, with the exception of the Costa Concordia captain, we've seen immense bravery shown by crew members. From fighting off pirates with a sonic device, to leading an incredible per billion passenger for Overall, this video shouldn't scare you off from cruising, or from driving for that matter, but rather show you that even in the worst circumstances and scenarios, there are mechanisms in place to keep you safe. I know this was a bit different from our usual traveling content, but we have some
You
exciting
said that
videos coming
last
soon.
time, motherfucker. Disaster. I've been on he's huge. That can't be real. That's AI. 100% AI. That's definitely AI. Okay, whatever.